All right. Well, hi, hello, and welcome to From Open Source Challenges to Enterprise Storage, KPN's Journey with Portworx. Now, today's exciting webinar is sponsored by Portworx by Pure Storage and produced by Actual Tech Media. My name is Jess Steinbach. I'm with Actual Tech Media, and I'm so happy that I get to be your moderator for this conversation today because, hey, I get to learn right alongside you. We have an incredible host here with us today from Portworx, who I will introduce in just a moment, and he's going to lead us through an interactive conversation with their special guests from KPN, who will share some of their real world experience and insight. We're going to follow along as our experts unpack KPN's journey to building the scalable, resilient platform that they needed. We're going to hear about the challenges, we're going to hear about the wins, and best of all, the lessons learned. I cannot wait to get started. So I'm going to zip through just a few of the important housekeeping points to help you get the most out of your time here with us together today. I want to start with the questions window because I'm already seeing some wonderful highs and hellos coming in. Hey, Chris, I get to see you twice today. I love that. Hey, Jim. Hey, Marteza. Hey, Howard, Richard, Jorge, Steven, Tony. We got so many awesome humans with us. Keep those highs and hellos coming in. I want to hear from all of you as we go through our session today, and make sure you're getting those questions in. We have some wonderful experts here with us today who are going to be answering questions on live chat. And then, of course, we are going to make sure that all of the questions that you ask the Portworx crew are sent along so that you will get answers back via email. So make sure you get those questions in. We'll get some answers to you today over live chat. If we don't get you to today, we will make sure that you get your responses over email. So highs and hellos, general musings, questions, comments, whatever's rolling around in your brain, whatever's got you lit up and excited today, we want to hear from you. So get those in. Now, I also want to remind you that that questions window is the best place to reach out to the Actual Tech Media crew if you are having any technical issues. The very first thing you're going to try, though, is a browser refresh. I promise that will clear out most of the usual tech gremlins, but if they've really got a hold of you today, no problem. If that browser refresh does not work, shoot us a message in that questions window, and the ATM crew will be there to help you out. All right, so we started in your questions window. You're going to go one tab over to the handouts tab. In the handouts tab, you can find all kinds of cool resources and takeaways. That is a great way to follow along, keep up with all the wonderful things that we are going to be hearing today in our session, because there is a lot to cover. There's a lot to go over, and you're going to want to spend a little bit more time exploring Portworx after we wrap. So be sure you spend some time with that handouts tab, looking over those resources, and make sure you've got those. You'll want to dig in further once we finish our conversation, I promise you. All right, well, that is it for all the housekeeping. Oh, wait, now I know your eyes all went right on over to that little prize icon, and I have not forgotten. We have for all of you today a $250 Amazon gift card that is going to someone who is here live, present, and a little bit lucky at the webinar. So that special someone does need to meet all of the Actual Tech Media prize terms and conditions. If you're not sure what those T's and C's are, no problem. You can just click into the handouts tab that we were just chatting about, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you will find the full terms and conditions waiting for you there. Okay, well, that is actually it for the housekeeping. So now it's time to get into our presentation, and let me introduce you to our two wonderful expert presenters that we have here with us today, including our very first expert presenter and host is Rajiv Thakkar, Head of Product Marketing, Portworx by Pure Storage, and his fascinating guest, Jehoon Vangamert, DevOps Engineering Leader at KPN. Rajiv, I think that you have a little video intro queued up that we're going to play to kind of kick things off, and then we'll get into your conversation with Jehoon. So Rajiv, I'm going to step back. I'm going to hand things on over to you. Let's get that little intro rolling.
The underpinnings of the platform is what really helped. It helped Comcast save millions in operational cost. The system provided the ability to quickly identify issues that are long-running, as well as new issues that popped up. And that really helped to reduce that overall failure rate to under 1%.
Portworx with Pure has allowed us to reduce that. So that's one monthly upgrade on a single instance of the database and the application versus 50 previously. So that was typically about 400 man hours a month to do that upgrade, is now down to 4 hours a month. And it's starting to shrink because we're able to do it even faster.
We started Kubernetes, I think we started in our cloud native journey or transformation way back in 2017. Our Kubernetes journey was always tethered around stateful stuff. State has been an important part. Storage is the key integral part, and I think there's hardly anything we can do in Kubernetes without having storage, and that is what is brought us together. Still a lot of problems to solve, and hoping to actually make it simpler and easier for everybody going forward.
All right. As they say, second time's a charm. So we'll
yeah, at least with the correct logo.
Yes, exactly. All right.
Perfect.
So welcome everyone. My name is Rajiv Thakkar and I work for Pure Storage. I am joined here by a very, very special guest, Yuhum, who is one of our early customers of Portworx, and in fact, an early adopter of Kubernetes too. But before we talk about Yuhum's role and his exciting sort of journey from open source storage to Portworx, Yuhum, let me welcome you to the show, and if you could quickly talk about the wonderful town that you live in and what you do for KPN, that would be fantastic.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. I'm living in Leerdam in the Netherlands. Currently spring over here, although if you look outside, well, a lot of rain and too cold for time of year. I'm working for KPN as a DevOps engineer, and with the team I work for, we build Kubernetes platforms and deliver those to our customers, which might be internal teams or external teams who are able to use those without worrying about the whole setup of the cluster.
That's quite a sophisticated platform. I mean, KPN is one of the largest service provider in the Netherlands, and I'm sure that building this platform was not easy, and you were at the heart of it, making all of the platform choices and decisions so that your customers, internal and external, didn't have to worry about its reliability or availability, and I'm sure you had a lot of performance needs. But before we talk about that, could you talk a little bit about what the role of DevOps, this practice of platform engineering and DevOps within your company is, and what were some of the 2 or 3 things that you are responsible for, and how has that changed over the years? Because clearly, there's a strategic intent behind your organization.
Yeah. Well, in the early days, before I joined this team, I did also application management. And what we did then was making sure that the applications did run. Currently, we do sort of the same with our platform, but the big difference is that we do everything from code. So the whole platform is based on code, and if it's not in code, yeah, it sort of doesn't exist. So when we have to rebuild something, it's quite easy, and that's really changed, and that's needs another mindset. And that's, yeah, I think that's really awesome that we have everything in code, and that you can recreate stuff as needed. So that's the DevOps, and what we do as a team is really from scratch building VMs with Terraform and the whole network stack. And once we done that, we pick up the Terraform state file and transform that into a inventory file, which we feed into Ansible. And from there, we spin up or create the Kubernetes cluster so that we have a running Kubernetes cluster. And this code is also run every week to keep all clusters in sync. So all updates are then done. The lifecycle management is done through the same code, and that's really nice. It's a lot of work, but it's really nice, and I think we're also quite flexible in the way we do things.
That's amazing. You make it sound so easy, but I'm sure this journey took a while. But and it'll probably take hours to talk about all of the pieces of infrastructure that you transformed into code and built this platform along the years. But today, let's talk about your journey from open source storage to Portworx. And if you could talk about the early days, right? What would you say about the beginning of the KPN containerization journey, and what hurdles existed back in the day related to storage with the solutions that were out there?
Yeah, we looked in several options. We tried plain NFS. Well, that was too slow and not working for us. We tried ClusterFS, which worked quite okay, but was also slow, and we had really complex management with that. We all had to do it ourselves. We built a disaster recovery solution with that, which worked, but it was quite a hassle to keep it working. And when there was some issue with it, you really had to deep dive into the nitty-gritty details of it, and it was quite a hassle to make it work again. So from there we had low reliability and no support if there was something really going wrong. And also volume expansion. It was each volume was mounted through iSCSI, and if you had expanded, you had to grow it like logical volume management, which consists of multiple volumes, and that was also not sustainable, and it was uneasy to keep up with. So that was back in the days, but it was really fun to build it and to maintain it. But not really a professional solution in the end.
Right. And somewhat hard to believe, right? These fundamental storage features and capabilities that you expect from enterprise storage, you kind of just lose all of them when you move to containers, and that really slows down the pace of app development and app modernization for your customers, and that only increases the pressure on folks like yourselves. So it's amazing how
that's true. Storage is taken for granted. It's just there, and everybody just wanted to use it, and you don't think about it because it's always there. But in the container world, well, it's all ephemeral containers, and to have a really good solution for your storage, that's quite some challenge.
Wow. So could you dive a little bit into sort of what these challenges were, maybe from a DR and backup perspective?
Yeah, of course. With the disaster recovery solution that we built back then, We had to spin up the storage nodes on the DR side, and all the data was replicated through our own script that did that. That worked quite nice, but had a disadvantage that the destination, the DR site, was not already a Kubernetes cluster. So the master nodes and the worker nodes were existing in code. And when a DR occurred, and we had to switch over to the disaster recovery side, we had to spin up all those nodes and create them into a cluster, let the storage nodes join them. That was quite of a hassle. It worked flawlessly, but the only way to do a DR was the whole cluster, all namespaces, everything, or nothing. And that was not what you always want. And when you had to test it, there was also another issue that we could not rejoin the synchronization of the both clusters. So we had to destroy the whole DR side.
Oh my God.
Recreate it, and then start from scratch. So that was also not the best way to do it.
Oh my God.
But when it was there, it worked. But a lot of hassle and a lot of effort from our guys to build it and to keeping it running.
Sounds like the testing and implementation of the DR process included a lot of disasters along the way.
It did at first. Well, the advantage was that everything was in code, as mentioned before. Also, the way to make the switch over, which was kind of manually, was also in code, that we had to run an Ansible playbook, and it should spin up the whole disaster recovery side. And that was really, it worked, but it was also a lot of work.
Got it. Yeah, that sounds very, very painful and inefficient. And
It was.
How about doing some backup and restore functions? What was the experience like with open source storage?
No, the way we did backup was also that was really painful, because how often do you have a DR? Well, hopefully never. Just prepare for the worst and hope for the best, and then never use it. But the backups, of course, that happens more often. What we did back then was backup a storage node, and each storage node contained the whole storage that was the whole persistent storage we had. And the only way to restore a small volume was to restore a complete node. And then dive into that node, grab the piece of data that you need, and if it's just a small persistent volume of 1 gigabyte, you still had to restore the whole node, which took forever.
Oh my God.
And could take up to a day.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was really painful. And especially if you realized, well, I restored the data from yesterday, but I should restore the data from the day before. Then you again had to wait a whole day before that node could be restored and the data could be gathered from there.
Wow.
And
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was really a hassle. And also connecting those nodes to the network, and you needed the extra storage as well. So if the storage node has 1 terabyte of storage, you needed that room in your data center as spare to only be able to restore.
Oh my God, that is just so inefficient. So
Yeah,
inefficient.
it's yeah. So yeah,
It
we're
reminds me
really
of
happy.
my like old PC days when, the only way to like do reformatting or backup was gonna take hours, and you'd be lucky if you had the capacity to
Yeah,
back up your whole hard disk. But all I was trying to do is back up a few files.
yeah. That's true. So this was also really painful and yeah,
Oh my
quite
God.
inefficient.
Okay. Well, then at what point did you choose an enterprise grade solution like Portworx? How did that process happen?
Yeah, well, as you
At
can
what
hear
point?
from my story, well, the way we did it, it was not sustainable.
Hmm.
Um, we made a list of some options that we looked into and investigated furthermore.
Hmm.
And with the criteria mentioned over here, which is uh, what we made our decisions upon. And yeah, we stumbled into Portworx, and yeah, that seemed the best fit. And yeah, well, we decided to go for it, and yeah, go and use Portworx.
Hmm. That's excellent. And thank you, Yum, by the way, for sharing this charts so transparently. I think there's a lot of due diligence that goes behind choosing a vendor in organizations like yours, and it's good that you're kind of maintaining this. I would like you to kind of talk through maybe a couple of decision making criteria here which helped you say that this solution was better and this was important, because it would help our other viewers understand they might be in a similar journey. uh, but sounds like the criteria was like almost 8 to 10 big pieces of the functions that you were looking for. What were some of the key differentiators that made you choose Portworx as opposed to StorageOS and OpenEBS back in the day?
Um, well, at least the geo replication that we could restore in an other data center in another region. That
Hmm.
was really yeah, a key feature that we really needed.
Hmm.
Um, the speed of the storage that we could provide, that was also really helpful because customers wanted to run database workloads, which was on the old storage solution not an option. That got corrupted and stuff like that. That was, yeah, so it didn't work. Um, and also backing up, so creating snapshots
Yeah.
and store them in the cloud.
Yeah, which is a very
This,
frequent workflow. It's almost daily, right? When your
yeah,
developers are looking to do copies and replication.
yeah, and also the ease of use of
Mhm.
it for our customers. Before, if customers wanted to enlarge their volumes,
Mhm.
they had to ask us. Now they just um, change their manifest for the persistent volume claim,
Right.
and it's done. So that's, yeah, so much easier and so much more self-service for our customers,
Mhm.
and no work for us to do there. So we can focus on things that are really important.
Mhm. That's good to know. It's a repeated theme we hear. I think the fact that these apps require the granularity to do storage operations and management, and the fact that we're able to meet the performance needs of customers like yourself is a recurring theme we hear. So Yuhum, if we transition to sort of what you would recommend based on the KPN implementations of Portworx to other customers on sort of removing any bottlenecks like this for cloud native storage, how would you describe some of the best practices going forward? Maybe we start with this chart you showed us in our meetings before, right? Could you talk a little bit about that granularity and how you're able to achieve DR?
Yeah. Yeah, well, we make now use of the Portworx asynchronous DR.
Mm-hmm.
And for that, we have Kubernetes cluster spun up in a remote data center, which is the data, the persistent volumes are replicated to that data center. And now we also can choose per volume and per namespace whether or not it should be replicated to the other data center. So you don't have to replicate everything if it's not useful to do that. So that makes it life a lot easier and more efficient. So that's and in the beginning, the idea of doing asynchronous DR, we thought it should do, and Portworx thought it should do. We had a different opinion, and well, we were at first a little bit disappointed because, well, it doesn't suit our needs. And we discussed it with you guys from Portworx, and you say, well, you're correct, and okay, we can adjust it. So the product, the Portworx product, is adjusted to what we thought that would be best for asynchronous DR, and yeah, now we're really happy to make use of it and running it to our satisfaction.
That's great to hear, and
Yeah.
that's the right spirit for us. We always follow what the customers need. Thank you for walking us through that, Hume. It's pretty apparent that this was a more efficient DR solution for you, very granular at the namespace level. Could you transition this to the best practice for backup and restores, which was such a big hassle with open source storage?
Yeah, that's also a really big improvement because now each volume that's created by our customers, they can choose whether or not it should be backed. So if they have something, well, we need some storage, but it's really not important, well, don't back up. Okay, that's fine. They can choose themselves. And if it's backed and it should be restored, we can just restore that one single volume. And we can restore it next to the already existing volume or over it, whichever suits best for that case. And that helps so much, and it's way more efficient. Also, the backups are done incremental, so not everything is backed up every time, and once in a while it's a full backup, and it's so much faster and so much more easy to do. And even the customers can just apply YAML manifest and restore it themselves. So that's also, they don't need us anymore. It's a lot less work. It's not a big hassle to do. So yeah, that's a win-win for everybody.
That's great. And you're not running out of space either.
No, we don't have to claim the space for an extra storage node that is just there for restore purposes.
Excellent. That's good. Excellent. That's a great best practice. So maybe, You want to summarize what you have here on the chart about what are the pros and cons of Portworx? Because obviously, there's always room to improve and
Yeah. Yeah. Well, first start with the cons so we can end with the positive part.
Okay.
Well, you have to pay for it, but then you get stuff. And each bot that needs persistent storage needs to run on a Portworx node, and that was also what we were not used to. And we divided our clusters in storage nodes and non-storage nodes. This way, we don't waste money on licenses that don't need storage. And yeah, in the beginning, also a con was, as I mentioned, that the DR was not working, but the upside is that Portworx changed that to a really good solution for us. It's also really fast. It's like just a volume or a hard disk on a system. So it's really suitable for database workloads, which our customers really wanted to have. The replication factor can be adjustable per storage class, and customers can choose which storage class to use. So if they want to have a replication of 2 or 3 or even 1, if they think it's not really important, well, they can choose it. We provide them with some storage classes, and they can choose from there which one suits best for those workloads. Also, we have a really good backup of Portworx for support questions. We had some issues, but yeah, every time, yeah, they helped us out when there was something that was unexpected or not working as expected.
Yeah.
Like also the easy expansion of volumes. If a customer wants a bigger volume for some application, they can do it themselves, which was really a pain before. We have now thin provisioning, so if a customer expects it to grow, they can claim more than they really have, and it's not a real issue. Backside is that you have to monitor it well, that you're not outgrowing your volumes. But yeah, well, it works very fine.
Right.
Also, the Portworx nodes can and must be used for customer workloads. In our current setup, we have the Portworx node tainted that normal workload will not run there. But when there's some shortage of CPU or memory on the non-Portworx nodes, it automatically fills over to the Portworx nodes. So that's also quite easy and yeah, automatically done. You don't have to look into it, and that's really nice. And of course, the easy restore of the snapshots per volume and just only that volume, yeah, and which makes it quite easy and fast.
Got it. No, this is quite detailed, and it's very enlightening to hear that you've actually built all of these enterprise grade requirements, and they're almost delivered as this cloud-like experience into your private cloud that you're hosting for providing a service to all of these customers. This is great.
It's a kind of we are delivering a kind of cloud, but within our own data centers and with our own support. So that's if somebody needs really support, we can help them. You can call us, you can contact us on Slack. Yeah, if you have a really big cloud provider, yeah, that would be a little bit more of a hassle to speak to somebody about it.
Yeah. And I'm sure it would be quite expensive too.
Yeah, of course.
Yep. 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 So, Yuhum, thank you so much for sharing these insights. I might take a minute and just talk about what we hear from our customers about the Portworx solution too. And for our viewers, I'll just share that, we have been fortunate to work with customers like Yuhum in pretty much all industries and seen the maturity of Kubernetes to a point where it's being run at scale. And customers are running cloud native storage in production also anywhere using Portworx. And some of the pieces that Yuhum talked about fit into sort of the automate and protect buckets, where we're automating the delivery of storage for any applications that are requiring persistent storage, whether they are modern databases like Postgres, Kafka, Cassandra, or even AI/ML workloads that are, having the same kind of self-service and performance requirements from underlying storage. Or some customers who are also starting to look at, unifying VMs and containers on one platforms. That's a new modern virtualization trend that we're seeing today. And we're helping customers with all of these deployments at scale. So Portworx, just to summarize, obviously works with any Kubernetes provider. You can use it to automate, protect, and unify storage anywhere, whether it's with on-prem storage in your data centers, like in the case of Yuhum's own platform at KPN, but also customers who have mixed environments, right, which have a public cloud environment or an environment at the edge where you have storage. Portworx actually unifies that experience across all these mixed environments, which are hybrid and multi-cloud ready. So customers don't have to worry about changing sort of the software-defined layer for containerized apps. So I'll kind of cover some business outcomes that we've observed, similar to what Yuhum shared at KPN. We've also seen customers actually improve app development by at least 3x after deploying Portworx because of those storage bottlenecks that Yuhum talked about. We've seen other customers kind of experience the same. Sometimes app development is sped up, more than 10x even based on the scale of a specific customer. We've also seen customers achieve zero RPO with our disaster recovery solution, and that's a huge outcome for financial service providers or even telco providers and healthcare providers too, who can't even operate without storage for even a second, right? We've also seen customers actually reduce their operational overhead for platform teams by up to 75% because of the time they spent on all of these day zero, day one, and day two operations related to storage before adopting Portworx and after. And then, of course, with our thin provisioning and capacity management, we're actually able to optimize storage costs for Kubernetes customers in production as well by up to 2/3. So before using Portworx, customers would have spent, if they were spending $100 on cloud native storage, after consuming Portworx, they would be able to reduce that footprint by at least $65 to $35 is kind of the example we give because of the efficiency in how we replicate storage and make it available and use it at the app level, giving the granularity even at the Kubernetes cluster level, as you mentioned. We're very fortunate to work with all global 2K customers, and we're also very fortunate to be recognized by IDC as one of the leading container data management solution across this marketscape that was just launched recently. And there's a quote here from IDC, and I repeat that, which is Portworx is the solution for mission critical apps, whether customers are running AI/ML workloads or containerized workloads, modern databases, even CI/CD tools at scale, right? And really, really honored to sort of have Yuhum here with us today to talk about this. If you have any other questions, please reach out to Yuhum on LinkedIn, and also visit portworx.com for any other questions. Yuhum, I really, really thank you again for speaking with us, and hope you have a wonderful evening.
Thank you,
Have a
and
good
see you
one.
next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right.
Oh, well, thank you both so much for that really interesting, interactive conversation. Lots of cool takeaways. You know, I think it's so cool. And I saw a few people echoing this in the audience as well. Chris, I love it. Chris says, awesome. Craig says, great presentation. I love this. You know, to me, when we get the opportunity to sit in and listen on somebody's real world experience, there's so many cases in our world, especially around technology. And we're talking, you know, all sorts of things with infrastructure, and there's always security issues where we don't get to really just be honest about the challenges, about the opportunities, about the ways that we navigate through these conversations, through these discussions, through these decisions, and then what goes well and what doesn't go well is really a place where all of us can learn, and kind of pooling those shared experiences and that shared knowledge base is how we can bypass a lot of these more commonly made mistakes, leapfrog over them ideally, and really just sort of move forward as an industry as a whole. And I think that's really exciting. So I'm just so grateful to the KPN crew and to Yuhum in general for being willing to kind of share that really honest conversation, and to Rajiv for walking us through that and making that, inviting us really to sit down at the table with all of you and be a part of that. So really a great day. As you can see from the screen here, we have an opportunity to make this day even greater for one of you out there. We have a $250 Amazon gift card that we are going to give away to someone who is here live, present, and a little bit lucky at the webinar today. So that special somebody walking away with a $250 Amazon gift card is Jason Jafares from North Carolina. Jason Jafares from North Carolina, congratulations. You have won a $250 Amazon gift card, and we will follow up with you after we wrap. So stay tuned for that. All right, well, with that, on behalf of the Actual Tech Media team, I want to once again thank Portworx by Pure Storage for making this webinar possible, and especially to our incredible host, Rajiv, and your expert guest, Yuhum. As I said, you've both given us so much to think about today. And, you know, again, I do have to say, I love the positivity. I love the questions coming in from our audience today. I always have to give my final thank you to all of you for joining us here, and especially today because we had some really wonderful comments, questions, and interactions coming in through the chat. I appreciate that. Ned, you had some great questions today. High five to you, Ned. Well done. But so did you all. And that's just really a fun way to start, end a day, start a day, wherever you're at in the world, to take time to learn something new, chat with the people around us. And again, as I said, to spend some time thinking about what we can all learn from one another, and kind of sharing those experiences together. So thank you to all of you for joining in and being a part of this whole wonderful webinar experience today. Well, I'm going to leave it there and let all of us get on about our days. What's the thing we're never supposed to say is I'll give you time back in your day. I will not say that, I promise. I know everyone hates that phrase, but I hope that you will take some time after we wrap to visit the handouts tab. Please do spend some time exploring the Portworx site. There are some great takeaways and follow-ups to the conversation that we just had. There's some really wonderful resources and things that you can spend a little time exploring on your own. Maybe book some demos, book some conversations, get to know the different platforms a little bit better, get to know some of the pricing or solutions a little bit better. There's lots of blog posts and articles, videos you can watch. So a whole bunch of stuff all collected for you in one spot. So make sure you click on that Portworx link and spend some time getting to know that team a little bit better. Reach out and connect with them as well. All right, well, with that, I will leave you all and send you on about your days. I hope that we all get to chat again soon. And until then, have an absolutely beautiful end to your day. Thanks all.